and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I'm Maupe Ogunyusuf. Last week, we started a conversation on the issue of election financing and the new limits introduced by members of the National Assembly to reflect rising inflation and other current economic realities. In the new bill, as amended, presidential candidates are allowed to spend as much as 5 billion naira from an initial 1 billion. Governorship candidates could raise 1 billion naira. Would-be senators could spend as much as 100 million, and members of the House of Representatives could spend 70 million naira from an initially approved 30 million naira. Civil society groups had argued that this would give even greater room for money bags to take over politics, as these adjustments have the potential to exclude young people and women who might not be as economically capable as might be required in the electoral race. Now, to put their concerns in context, Nigeria currently has only 19 women in the National Assembly with 469 members. It dipped from 21 women in the 8th Assembly, and much as women continue to try, no woman has ever been elected governor, and even fewer women attempt to the highest political office in the land, that of the president. Tonight, I speak with two women, one who's thrown her hat in the ring before, and the other who continues to lend her voice, pen, and resources to the cause of democracy and development in the country. Kate Henshaw is an actress and a former aspirant to the House of Representatives for Calabar Municipal and Udukpani Federal Constituency. And Idayat Hassan is a director of Center for Democracy and Development. Ladies, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much, Maupe.
Thank you, Maupe.
Kate, let me start with you. It's been 8 years since you last tried to run for office. You've granted a number of interviews since then. And in one of them, when you were asked if you were going to run again, this was what you said. You said, I don't have money to give anybody. The money I used was mine. A few friends came together, supported me, put some money, but the majority of the money I used without any bargain was mine. I work hard. I am not a contractor. I don't have money to throw away. Now, this was a time when the cap of the House of Reps was 30 million naira. Can you tell us what was on your mind when you thought about money and throwing your hat in the ring? How much did you think was the budget at that time for you to achieve your aim of being a member of the House of Representatives?
I didn't have a budget. I just knew I needed money for, like to run the campaign office, pay people to work with me. I didn't really have a budget at hand, but I wish I had. Maybe I wouldn't have even started, because I found out that most of the consultations I went to, the men would ask me, do you have a war chest, enough in your war chest? I'm like, what's a war chest? That's when I found out that it was, how much money do you have available for you to throw around? So apart from one form that was waived for women who aspire for office, I'm not sure if it's the expression of intent, or one of the forms is free for women, but then you have to buy the two forms normally, and then of course you pay your party dues, and then of course each consultation, anybody you go and meet with is money. You may not be giving them money directly, but you buy a goat, you buy a wrapper, you buy drinks, you buy also, you host different people, you host the youth, you host the women group, the men group, you host all sorts of people, and that is money on its own. Of course, transportation, you hire a bus, you and your supporters, you print banners. So I had to get an office. Luckily, my cousin had a space, so I rented it off him, but it was absolutely and totally capital intensive. Totally.
And you did not end up getting as far as being a candidate. You were an aspirant. No. Can you tell us, have you been able to sit back and say, how much did I really spend as an aspirant?
Oh, I'll say my friends, when they came together, they gave me 5 million. And on top of that, I added my own, another, maybe let's say 30 million on top of my own money. Until this day, it pains me, because if I had put that money to buy a house somewhere, I would be living there, But it was just, for me, endless spending that led nowhere. I mean, I'm not saying it could buy me, but I didn't see the need for all that spending. If someone truly wants to serve, it should be from the heart, and you should be able to see what the person can do from their antecedents. But it's all about on the day of the delegates, you know, where they have to now pick who will represent the party. It was all about money. The other person was giving money. I gave my pittance. That is it. I don't care what anybody says. Because I did a documentary with Al Jazeera, and I wanted them to follow the process truly to see how our political terrain is. Everybody was giving money, giving this, giving gifts to all the delegates. And I remember one guy, I don't know if I will recognize his face, but he said to me, "Don't give me your money, I'm not going to vote for you." And to me, that was the best thing he could have said to me.
Wow. 35 million, at least, are the estimate. A rough estimate is 35 million. Amidayat, your organization, the CDD, has raised this as a concern. This cap that has now been increased even further. This is at just the level of aspirant. And I know that even at the CDD, there's been a differentiation made in terms of what even INEC is talking about. INEC is talking about when you have finally become a candidate and also setting limits for what you can spend, maybe a few months to the actual elections. It doesn't take into cognizance what you spend as an aspirant. So this campaign around, the electoral financing cap, does it really make any sense?
I think it does. It makes a lot of sense because if you look at the low numbers of women we have in maybe at the National Assembly and in government, elected government offices, is not unconnected to their inability to get on the ballot. And as an analysis of the 2019 elections actually revealed that out of all the contestants in the general elections, which was more than 26,000, really, only 11% were women. Why do you have those minute numbers? And if you have 11%, of course, that is why we have that low numbers at the end of the day. It's not unconnected to the fact that they do not have money. Because when people are looking at who to field, like Kate has actually told us, the first thing is, do you have money or are you able to attract donation to the party? These are two important points. And when we go back, and for women, they do not have it. Then when you start talking about this kind of caps, they are not, it makes everything to be money politics because we are talking about the period where officially campaign has been declared. So let's say previously, just like 3 months into the elections, you are not looking at the processes which already started. So election is 2023 now, but right now you can see across the nooks and crannies of Nigeria, people are already campaigning. The money that is spent at that level is not inclusive of this cap. So it's really about monetizing, and it leads to a lot of exclusion. And nothing is not really the cultural factor we often put out.
I was just about to say how much of this is our culture, because
no.
Because Kate has talked about how when she goes for consultation, and this is a part of our politics, that you must go and greet people and say, I want to run for office, and you will not go empty-handed. That is a part of our culture. Maybe
you have to call it political culture. It has first become a practice that if you want to contest for office, you must have money and you must bring this money. That is the war chest. So you start talking about where is the election war chest. We do not want free candidates. You speak to people, when they waive the expression of interest form, or they ask you to pay 50% of it, they call you a free candidate. Then where are you going to get the money to actually compete with these other men that has got the money? Then where will you even get the violence? So we are talking one of money, we are talking of violence, we are also talking of the instrumentalization of fake news or whatever. So what position have you actually given women to compete? And I think one final point I really want to make is that this new electoral bill is it has given a lot, but it has also taken away, really. Because it's this same bill we are talking about that has made enough proposal for consensus candidates, which means that if you are coming on consensus, which is where before they impose candidate, all the aspirants must agree. This same bill also talks about the fact that political appointees will have to resign before they vie in the party primaries, because some of our work again has shown that vote buying is not actually the problem. It's the use of incumbency, which of course we give them a hedge over others. When you look at these positive proposed provisions, you now look at the increase in the cap itself. It doesn't really make so much sense. So it's even like maybe it's actually to get some people to benefit, because they would eventually be the people that will be on the ballot, that will make it to the ballots at the end of the day, because they do have the money.
Well, I remember speaking with two gentlemen last week, and they say that perhaps we should just scrap this issue of a spending cap, because one, we do not stick with it. It is obeyed in the breach. I mean, no one really takes into account what is spent at the end of the day by political parties. So I'm wondering, first, for you, I mean, one cannot say that you cannot attract funding for political parties. Would you say that money really was a problem for you?
It was a problem for me, one. And then two, another thing which I noticed was I wasn't long enough in the system.
Okay.
Now, the thing is to be able to, because there are people who have been with the party for X amount of years, and it's actually maybe like a turn-by-turn thing, unless you have tons of money to buy up everybody. But they have this system where people are on ground and they are, just shifting, or give room for this person. When he goes to the Senate and comes out, you go next. So it's a system that they already have in place, because they've been in that structure for so long. They have the structure on ground. They know how to call up this and that. So I wasn't in that space long enough, even though I would say I was a good candidate for them to take up. But they were not sure of me. They were not sure if they could trust me. I mean, I've not been with them. I've not been in sync with them. So if they pick me, will I adhere to what they want to know and to what they want to do? And also, do they know me? I mean, when they said they don't know me, I'm like, but this is my state. I'm Cross River. I'm Henshaw. You know about me. You know about my work and all that. So that no, I think there's a meaning behind we don't know you like that.
It's a very deep one there, and I would like us to explore it a little further, and whether or not, because you've already raised the issue of trust, how you thought that was a big factor around your because at the end of the day, I think I also heard you talk about betrayal. You felt somewhat betrayed after the elections, and what you think people can do in terms of breaking this cycle where you cannot contest where you are residing. You oftentimes have to go back to the place where you originate from, and how that is a hurdle for women and perhaps young people, or even people in general, because I think that affects almost everyone who wants to contest and be involved in politics, but somehow are constrained by where they're from versus where they actually reside. We'll talk a little about that when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. We're taking on the issue of election financing. Idayat Hassan is the director of Center for Democracy and Development, and Kate Henshaw is an actress and a former aspirant to the House of Representatives for Calabar Municipal and Udupani Federal Constituency. Well, just before we went on break, we're talking about trust, the issue of trust, and she talked about this rotational system, it will seem. Do you think that that is more a bigger factor than the issue of money? Because there are those who argue that you do not need money. You just need to be a part of the system and understand how it works. From her own experience, because largely she's based in Lagos, she's talking to us from Lagos now, but when she wanted to contest, she had to go back home to where she originally is from. How do you think that disparity oftentimes discourage people from being a part of the politics?
I think it's also, it's neither here nor there, but we shouldn't talk really about trust. We should talk about the political machine, which again is oiled by money. So it's more about you can't eat where you did not sow. So some people have been part and parcel of the system, but these people are also part of the political machinery, which is oiled by money and, of course, some of the things they have actually put into the party. And this kind of structures, it's the machine politics that runs Lagos politics and several parts of this country's politics. It's not really about what you have on the table, and you can't take money away from it. Yes, in disparate time, you find that it's also mostly staked against women, that you can't contest maybe from your husband's state, or even in other states, you cannot contest. But we have also seen in this country some positive examples. When you look at Lagos, it's not just the commissioners, but you still have many of the honorables who are representing at the National Assembly now, or senators who are from Ogun State, who are from Kogi State, and they are never Lagosians. Some have even gone to either try to pick the governorship ticket.
Well, let me ask you, Kate, why did you think it was important for you to go back to Cross River? Why didn't you contest in a place like Lagos, where you have resided for years and perhaps understand the needs of the people better? I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
First and foremost, I am the PDP. So PDP is not Lagos. Lagos is APC. We all know that. So I didn't think there was chance for me. My state is a PDP state, so I felt I would have a better chance going back home. But in hindsight, maybe I should have been in Lagos, but not under. At that point, I would have to contest under APC. But I even wanted to have a look-in or a chance at even winning or being seen. You know, each state has the party that is their strength there. So that was why I went back home.
Okay. So for you now, you said you do not intend to throw your hat in the ring. You've already said you don't have money to waste. We're hoping that we'll be able to change your mind. Do you see ways, because you have continued to advocate that people be a part of the political process and that people continue to support candidates. You want more support for women. But if you are, having been, I don't want to say, I don't know, they say once bitten, once bitten. I was going to say burnt, but I didn't want to use that word. So let's use bitten. Once bitten, twice shy, it said. You really cannot afford to give up, can you? Don't you think that there are other ways that you really can run this without having to? Because there's talk around, we cannot continue like this. Our politics cannot continue to be money-oriented. We have to find a way to break it, so to speak. Do you see a way out?
Well, I want to say that even with money, we should be able to reject candidates that we do not want. And we've seen that happen in some states. I think it happened in Edo State and one other state. So whether you have money or you don't have money, if you are a good candidate, people should be able to see through that. That is one of the ways that we can dump down and say, it's not about your money. You better bring your A game, bring your capacity, bring your character, bring your intelligence, bring empathy, get ready to do the job and serve. That's one way to say, if you have money, if you have money, don't even think that your money is going to help you. For me, after running for office, I was appointed special advisor to the governor. I was in charge of the Lagos State Liaison Office, so I did have a political appointment. So I have served and I've run for office. All I'm wanting to do now is support a good candidate, continue to advocate for people, to vote. That lie of the vote doesn't count has to be squashed totally. If all of us who have our PVC go out to vote, then we'll be able to make sure that the right candidate goes in.
Well, some people will say that people like her who've tried before, and if they do try again, they might stand a greater chance. How do you think we can encourage people like her to go back? Just asking.
I think really it's not about encouraging her, it's the reform of the party system itself. We have to get the party system right. Until we get the party system right, where people can actually emerge in a free, fair and credible primaries in the whole sense, particularly on the platform of the two dominant parties who have got reach and resources in all the nooks and crannies of the country, then it might be a difficulty because people do not also turn out because of who is on the ballot. So if we get Kate to win and emerge as a candidate, Of course, many Nigerians will come out to actually vote, and we have seen positive influences both in the Ondo elections and in the Anambra elections, where citizens refused to take the money offered to them to buy their vote. They voted their conscience, rejected the money, not even say, we take your money, we vote our conscience. This time they rejected it, and these are positive examples that the most important thing is getting the right candidates on the ballot, and turnout really improve.
Well, your concerns about the electoral financing cap notwithstanding, you've also pointed out many positives in this electoral act as amended, and it's now with the president after he rejected it the first time. Are you concerned that, we could be experiencing another delay on this signing of the electoral act?
I think at this point in time, it's not really about us, it's about the president. If there is a rejection this time, that will actually be 7 times that the president has actually rejected the election amendments bill before him. And President Muhammadu Buhari himself benefited from very clear electoral framework, innovation that brought him into office in 2015. And there is nothing more he can do for Nigerians than to leave us with a very good electoral amendment act. If people have cases with heat, they can approach the courts subsequently to challenge it.
Kate, let me quickly ask you this. There was a huge controversy around direct and indirect primaries before. Even the president rejected it based on that basis. When you saw the controversy, did you think that if it was through direct primaries, as adopted by the National Assembly, would it have favored candidates like you at the time when you were contesting?
It may have, but you also have the people who have been in, I'll continue to say the people who have been in the system for so long. Like I was running against a rep who had gone there 3 times or 4 times. This was his 5th time. So he had enough resources, enough money, enough people, and all of that. They would still maybe have gone for him because he has managed to keep them in, some kind of comfort over the years. So, yeah, it may work, but in my own instance, not too sure.
Well, we're past that controversy now. We now have 3 options. How do you think that this increases the chances? In terms of how, I do not know if you've seen how they're now couched, that all the candidates must agree, assuming there's going to be a consensus candidate. Do you think it truly helps?
It helps. I don't like if a party has a proliferation of candidates. I believe they should consolidate and put their best, man forward for the job. So that way you are not splitting your votes or the choices that people have to make.
Well, the Electoral Act, the new Electoral Act, is meant to clean the perception, because I think reading parts of her interview that she granted earlier, she was talking about how politicians buy PVCs, they get underage children to vote, etc., etc. And these are some of the things that this new Electoral Act is supposed to clean up. There are people who still think that votes don't count. She's already mentioned that. And our new Electoral Act is meant to change that perception. Are you optimistic that indeed it could encourage more people to get into the process?
Yes, I'm very, very optimistic that with the new Electoral Act, that Nigerians, for instance, yearn to talk about for electronic transmission of results. That will be a possibility in the 2023 elections. The fact that INEC itself has become so innovative in the last couple of years is fast telling people that votes will actually count. And Anambra elections, no matter how the challenges ahead of the elections, the mere fact that as a country, as a people, as a state, we were able to surmount it is first telling us that there are indeed possibilities. It's our own work to now distill it and make people to see actually the benefit of it. And very good candidates on the ballots. They would actually be impetus to participate in the forthcoming 2023 general elections.
Okay, Henshaw and Hidayat Hassan, thank you for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you very much.
Namaste.
We all feel very strongly about our country and want a lot to change in our politics. The question is, how much of this change are we willing to support by putting our money or other resources where our mouth is? Do ponder that a while. And if you have any thoughts on them, share with us using the handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogunyusu. Good night.